Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to my community show. Or is this a stream of consciousness? I think this is a stream of consciousness. Oh well. Anyway, so where were we? So, announcements. First of all, sorry, I have been pretty irregular with my uploads in the last couple of weeks. I kind of overextended myself. I lent myself out to way too many people, and that unfortunately inhibited my ability to record and edit as I wanted to. So that led to a lot of missed upload times. So much for two videos a day, huh? But we should be able to get back into it next week. Because I know, I got Saturday, I'm going to be able to record most of the day, which will be good. And, yeah. Apart from that, we finished Bioshock, and that was good. Bioshock was fun. I loved that game. I know I didn't exactly seem like it. I know I was like, towards the end of it, I was like, why isn't it over yet? But overall, it was a really good game. And I can't wait to get in and play the second one. I kind of want to go through the first game again on my own and futz with it and get all the trophies and whatnot that I can get. Not sure I can beat the hardest difficulty without using a Vita Chamber, but you know, it happens. Anyway, apart from all that, that's all my announcements for today. Let's get into our topic for the day, which is my hypocrisy. I was thinking about just doing a general topic of hypocrisy, talking about hypocrisy, and everyone kind of gets up in arms about hypocrisy in general because most people don't like it. And that's perfectly understandable, because it's nothing, there's very little quite as annoying as somebody preaching something to you when they themselves don't do it. In my opinion, there's two types of hypocrisy. There's the good and the bad. The bad hypocrisy falls under the lines of somebody who doesn't exactly follow their own teachings, but in such a way as to affect other people, i.e. somebody who says you should be humble while constantly bragging about themselves, that sort of thing, hypocrisy like that. For those of you who don't know, if you don't know, I'm pretty sure everyone does, but my brain makes it so I have to say these sorts of things, and that's what hypocrisy is saying something and doing another, or, doing something and saying another. I guess either way it could work technically. And we all have these sorts of hypocrisies, whether we want to admit it or not. There's something that everyone is a hypocrite about. Now, I'm not obviously going to go into all of my hypocrisies here, but a few of them, like my whole medicine thing, doctor going to the doctor thing, is a big one. So let's get back to what I was saying. Two types of hypocrisy, the bad and the good. The bad I define as something that is noticeably bad for other people rather than just themselves, i.e. somebody who brags a lot but then says everyone should be humble, that sort of stuff. Then there's the good hypocrisy, which is somebody who does something and recognizes it as bad and tells people, y'all shouldn't do this, i.e. the smoker who tells people don't smoke. And in that sort of situation he's a long-term smoker, she's a long-term smoker, but they recognize that smoking is wrong and smoking is bad and is terrible for your health, that sort of thing. That makes it an okay sort of hypocrisy, because quitting smoking is hard and they want to quit, but they haven't gotten there yet. That sort of stuff, When it comes to me, I have this weird quirk where if something is unusual, I have to know why. And I do like to delve deep into where my hypocrisies come from. And now it's easy to just brush things off and say, oh, this is such and such, like my dislike for going to the hospital when I need to. I could just say, oh, it's because I'm a man and mans don't do that sort of thing. But that's not entirely true. especially when it comes to me, because while, yes, I am male, I tend to kind of fall outside of what is commonly understood of as the manly man, i.e., I understand and perfectly adhere to when I need help seeking it. But what's with hospitals, huh? Why don't I go to the doctor when I need to? Well, there's a number of reasons, to be honest, and I have thought on this at length to try to define and figure out what is wrong with me. It's because I'm a man. No. There's a good number of reasons. And there's the whole, like, I think this kind of technically still falls under the idea of why men don't seek help more often. And it is partly due to the fact that I don't want people worrying about. And going to the hospital is literally asking people to worry about you. And that's like an overridable fact, i.e., I can get rid of that idea by saying, well, yeah, but it's their job to do so. I think the biggest reason why I don't go to the hospital is because I've worked in and around medical stuff for a while. And those of you who don't know, I was studying to be a nurse. And seeing it from the inside was a bit of an unexpected little thing. You know, I wasn't really figuring on how things were going to be when I went in. That's not to say that doctors and nurses are bad or anything. They're busy. They're busy, you know. They're running around like chickens with their heads cut off as they try to figure out, you know, all their patients' needs and wants and whatnot. And I loved being a nurse, and I was never a nurse. I loved studying to be a nurse. But, you know, it didn't pan out for me. I was kind of hoping I would be able to work in pediatric nursing, and that could have been like a big thing for me, you know. Make me a big head honcho, be a good person helping out the kiddos because they need it. And as such, you know, didn't pan out, but that's a discussion for another time. Seeing the medical profession from the inside, I learned a lot. And as such, I also fall into the camp of, you know, doctors are the worst patients sort of deal. Although, yes, I never studied to be a doctor. I did study a lot of medicine, and I learned a lot of, you know, how to treat and how to take care of stuff. So, for the most part, I just treat myself. I take care of myself until such a point as I can't anymore. And that line is kind of hard to delineate when you don't know exactly what's wrong with you. I.e., if you know you've got a cold, you can treat the symptoms and lower how long it takes for it to go away. But if you're suffering from a strange respiratory illness, i.e., back in January when I didn't know what the heck was wrong with me, but it was the worst sickness I've had in my entire life, then there's only so much you can do. You can treat all the symptoms, but if the underlying cause isn't going away or the symptoms are far too bad, then yeah, you need to go to the doctor. And for me, it's like I joke about it sometimes when it comes to my illnesses. When I get sick, I joke like when it gets bad, it's like, oh yeah, that was bad enough to almost drive me to the hospital. So what other sorts of hypocrisies? Like that one is a big one. And additionally, there is the medicine one. Like, I don't take medicine, but I often preach the benefits of it, especially for people who have brain problems like I do. I will tell you exactly what it is and what you need. Now, this leads kind of into another one of my hypocrisies. While technically it's not full-on, full-blown hypocrisy, because there is a lot more to it than that, but the medicine aspect is I don't like the chemicals, and I don't like what they do to my body. For the most part, they do their job. I.e., I take some Tylenol, and my pain is lessened. Doesn't go away, but it's lessened. And that's a good thing. I take Motrin, but I forget to take it with a glass of milk or some food, and I throw up. I don't like that. But, you got to. And, of course, with every medicine, every drug, there is a little, what do you call it? A little area of toxicity. If you go outside of that area, then it's either ineffective or toxic. So it's like with me, when it comes to medicine, I tend to have to take a lot because I'm a big fella. 6'2", weigh about 280 pounds. I'm a heckin' beast. Which always makes me nervous because I don't know exactly how much of said medicine I need to take. When it comes to ibuprofen or Motrin or variations like that, I have to take the daily dose all at once to feel anything, any sort of response. And it's not even a full-blown, oh, your pain's gone, happy day, more of a, oh, you can manage now, yay. Yeah. And that, unfortunately, is incredibly dangerous. Because if the pain doesn't go away and it gets worse later on during the day, it barely lasts an hour or two, then you feel like you need to take more. And if you're taking the daily dosage already in one go, then you can't take more. Otherwise, you risk liver and kidney damage, and that's dangerous. And I could kill you. Talk about that Billy Rubin, Additionally, my mental health problems. I haven't been on medication in a long while. It has been so very, very long. And I quit taking my medication for two very important reasons. One, we'll say three reasons, but two of them are very important. So we'll go with one first, which is the less important reason. They can never figure out what combination of medicine I needed to take. And yes, I know it is a matter of they have to see what works. Again, factoring in my size and my drug resistance often led to a balancing act of trying to figure out which pill worked and which didn't, and which one, we can safely raise the dosage of, and which one we couldn't. And I hated that. I called it the dartboard technique, where they just take a bunch of darts and they throw them at the board and then figure out which one sticks. That's what I call the dartboard technique. I'm not sure if it's got an official name or anything, but I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I felt like a freaking guinea pig. And that's annoying. Secondly, of the pills I took that had any effect, one, it just masked the problem. Like, I was still very well aware of the problem underneath the surface, but I had like a kind of haze over it. And walking through life with a haze over your mind is just annoying. And the ones that did work but didn't provide the haze knocked me out. Like, there was one pill that I took that no matter what, I had to take a nap throughout the day. Otherwise, I would just conk over, and nobody likes that. So the sleeping, the haze, and everything were just things I just couldn't live with. And then the final problem was it really affected my creativity. I know doctors and whatnot will tell you that this doesn't affect your creativity. It's all in your head. But that's literally what your creativity is. It's all in your head. And if the medicine is affecting your head, then it's affecting your creativity. However, my hypocrisy comes into play because I will always tell people that if you need the medication, take the medication. But StepsBasic, don't you need the medication, but you don't take the medication? Yes. That's why it's called hypocrisy. But I can also very much say that I would not be as stable and sturdy as I am if I hadn't taken my medication back when I did. And I was on medication for a good 5 years. While it was the dartboard effect and the haze and the sleepiness, I learned a lot from that. And This kind of leads additionally into my third big hypocrisy, which is going to upset a lot of people, but you can get over it. Don't get mad at me. That's not entirely true. That's just how people interpret what I say when I say this. Because while, yes, there is no such thing as, you're sad, just get over it. It's not real. Because the get over it is talking about years of adjustment, of learning how to deal with your own mind. Growing up as a kid who was diagnosed with mental health issues, I learned what my problems were. I learned how to avoid my problems. Yes, I got hurt along the way. People got hurt along the way. And saying that I got over it is not exactly entirely true. But what I did do was learn to manage my symptoms, learn to remove myself when I needed to, and learned how to properly be a functioning adult. So while, yes, I tell people you can't just get over it, I also tell people that there are ways to learn to be better. And sometimes you need the help. Sometimes you need counseling. Sometimes you need psychologists, psychiatrists. Sometimes you need medicine. So when I hear somebody say, just get over it, I will get upset at them and tell them, you can't get over it. Like me, I'm bipolar. I'm going to be bipolar until the day I die. Through years and years of established walls, established routines, and developing an OCD nature, I have learned to manage my problems without medication. That does not work for everybody. I believe that if you put yourself into the situation where you learn yourself, learn everything there is to know about yourself, then you can learn to deal and manage. You're not essentially getting over it, but I have been told that my ideas fall within the realms of telling people to get over it. Telling somebody, you need to learn is the same as telling people to get over it. I don't agree with that, because there's a difference between telling somebody to get over it and telling somebody to learn how to deal with it. Because we have to deal with a lot as people, as human beings with big old bags of chemicals floating around in our heads. Hypocrisy can be a good thing because it's the whole learn from my mistakes sort of deal. I.e., going back to the smoker who has smoked for years can, without fail, properly tell people that smoking is bad, because chances are that person knows exactly what the problem is. Telling somebody to take their medicine when you don't take your medicine is good, because in a way you're setting an example for what that person can aim for. Medicine, in my opinion, is not a panacea. It's not a cure-all. It doesn't fix everything. What it does is give you that boost you need. Like the thing again with the ibuprofen. I can't take I can't take it more than once a day, but taking it once helps me move, helps me get my body in motion. And yeah, I haven't taken my mental illness pills. I think the last thing I was on was Abilify and Wellbutrin. I think that was the last pills I took. And I've been on Lamictal and a number of other mood enhancers and mood stabilizers. By the way, that's another reason why the dartboard effect is dangerous. And if you get a stupid doctor in there, and yes, there are some stupid doctors. Not all. Some doctors are really, really good. But if you get a doctor who doesn't know what he's talking about, and you go in saying, hey, I'm bipolar 1, and they give you a mood enhancer, then you're going to trigger a freaking manic episode that just doesn't quit. And that's not fun at all. Yeah. So essentially what it amounts to is I don't like to go to the doctor because I don't like people worrying about me. I'm paranoid and I don't like to get sick. So I stay away from places that have sickness. Not saying that going to the doctor makes me sick, but I try to avoid that. Additionally, there is another factor, which is the money, which is something I don't really have to worry about anymore because the veterans and whatnot, I just have to worry about time and everything because the Veterans Association, the VA, pay for all of my medicine and everything. But growing up as a poor kid, when it came to doctors and whatnot, I didn't like to do that because it costs money. Then the medicine, I don't take any medicine, but I strongly recommend people to take medicine because it is a help, even if it isn't always what you're looking for. And I learned that through years of taking medicine. Then the whole get over it thing, again, is not the same, even though occasionally I get called a hypocrite for it. Because I feel like while technically get over it implies an instantaneous fix, the learn to deal with it aspect of, mental illness and whatnot does definitely apply because you can learn to deal with it. As evidenced by me, as evidenced by a number of people I know. But I get called hypocrite because learn to deal with it and get over it sound or seem similar. Not something I agree with, but because learning to deal with it literally implies years of work, mostly because that's how I learned to deal with it, was years of work. Although, additionally, I still have problems. I just manage it better than I used to. And I'm going to continue to improve until my mind melts out of my brain. But anyway, that's the thing about hypocrisy. We always have an explanation for why it's fine that we do something when other people don't. Well, I will tell people to learn to deal with their problems. I will not tell people to get over it. I will not tell people how to learn to deal with their problems. I will not tell people they will be able to, honestly. This video, with it being the obvious exception, I won't tell people that they will be able to learn to deal with their own problems like that. Because, and it all boils down to, well, yes, I did it. And I've known numerous people who have done it. Not everybody's the same. Psychology is one of what I consider the most interesting things to research. It still falls too much under the whole subjective cures because nobody's the same. Even comparing my brother and I, even comparing us two, there is so much difference between the two of us that you can't even say that either one of us can be cured by or fixed or treated the same way. Physically, sure, we're pretty similar. I'm taller than him by a number of inches, but, we're still two large, overweight people. That's why I think that's what constitutes my whole, hypocrisy in that nature is when it comes down to it, I won't tell people that, I won't tell people to do what I did. Mostly because it sucked, and I didn't like doing it. And if there's a quicker, easier way to find to learn to deal with your problems, then do that instead. No years of suffering and torture and pain. But then again, I don't want you to stay locked up in your house all day, every day. I want you to learn how to live a normal life, as it were. What even is normal, right? But anyway, I've talked too long. About 26 minutes now. Anyway. Love y'all. Have a good night.